mournful scenes on British streets tonight as thousands are gathering at Villa Park tonight ahead of the club's Europa League fixture against the Israeli football team Maccabi Tel Aviv. The match has made international headlines after local authorities said that Maccabi fans will be blocked from attending the game, and West Midlands police classified the fixture as high risk. Now, pro-Palestine groups have called for the match to be banned altogether, despite the Israeli side's fans not being allowed to buy tickets. Well, let's get straight to Villa Park now and join GB News' national reporter Jack Carson. Jack, many people believe the scenes we're seeing there at Villa Park has shamed football, shamed Britain and shamed the entire world. But over to you.
Yeah, we're at the counter-protest now, Martin, where we're just hearing speeches from those who have come here in support of Maccabi Tel Aviv and Israel, given, of course, that Safety Advisory Group decision was that they could not travel. Josh Howie, GB News presenter, joins us now. You've wanted to be here tonight. Tell us why.
I wanted to be here because as soon as they said that the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans couldn't come along, that spoke to me of institutional capture and giving in to the Islamist mob. To say that it starts with Israeli fans, now they want to ban the Israeli team, and then it goes to Jews. So for me as a Jew, when a bully makes some statement about where I can go in my own country, that makes me go, no, I'm going to come here.
Now, they said initially, of course, that side, particularly the local independent MP, Ayub Khan, that he pointed to violence in Amsterdam last year. That was the reason why he supported that decision to not have Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. Is that what you believe the real decision behind it? Because we know across the road they're protesting, that they're saying that they want Israel banned from UEFA.
Yeah, of course it is. It's ideology. It's because it's Jew hate, unfortunately, with the extreme parts of the Muslim community. If you look at what happened last year in Amsterdam, first of all, every game they played since then in Europe, there haven't been any issues. Like, I'm not into football, so I've had to learn all this stuff myself. But what happened last year was a planned Jew hunt in the weeks before, where local Arabs went online and planned this. Had nothing to do. There were no of the Ajax fans involved in it. It was purely attacking Israelis and any Jews who happened to be there. And it has to be, the Home Affairs Committee today have issued a letter to the Birmingham Council, to the West Midlands Police, saying quite clearly, why did you make this decision? Because it isn't based in any facts. There is no threat from why are the people out protesting right now? Thousands of people on the other side of the stadium. There's tens of us here, not violent. Why are the police here? The police here are to protect us. The police here are to protect other people. It's got nothing to do with football at all.
We know there's 700 officers here. We've seen them from different constabularies. Do you feel safe here, coming here to protest in Birmingham tonight?
I do feel safe. I was scared. My wife didn't want me to come. My friends, my family didn't want me to come. But to keep us safe, it's taken 700 fans. It's taken being put in a pen. We are here behind guarded gates by the police just to be able to exist here as Jews. And my point of coming here was to go, this isn't the UK that I grew up in. This isn't the UK that I want to raise my family in. This isn't the UK. That's not what we're about. We're about tolerance. We're about fairness. And this is not fair.
Now, the Prime Minister and Home Secretary and Home Office tried to get to a point where the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans could come back. That couldn't be reached, and so the decision stood. Do you think more could have been done to allow Maccabi Tel Aviv fans to attend the match here tonight?
Well, absolutely. Look, they put up 700, or I've even heard 1,000 police here today. They would have been easily protected. They would have. I mean, look, there's football games going on all the time. So it's not to do with football. That is the narrative that's being created. The fact is, the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans, they rejected their tickets. They said it's not safe for us to come over here. We don't want to come here. What a damning indictment of this country, that another country that we're allies with don't feel safe for their football fans to come here to the UK. Then the Board of Deputies of British Jews, they tried to do a plan with Villa, saying, well, look, let's bus in 500 British Jewish fans who can come see the match. They would have just bussed people straight in and out, and Villa ran down the clock to not allow that to happen. So Jews, I know Villa fans who are Jewish who are scared to come today. I know a Villa fan who's not Jewish who defended Jews. He's had death threats. He can't come. Again, this is not what this country is about. And if we don't, frankly, take a stand now at some point, then the mob is just going to incrementally keep on winning. And it's, as I said before, it's creating a no-go zone for Jews now, and it'll be a no-go zone for everyone else tomorrow.
Josh Howie, thank you so much for joining us and giving us his thoughts here, who's come to the Our Fight UK counter-protest here. Of course, at the other side of the stadium, Martin, you've seen the pictures. We brought you it earlier, of course, of those protests happening. We spoke to a couple of the people who have joined that pro-Palestine protest over the other side of the road. Take a listen to what they told us earlier on.
The fact that the barbaric Israeli establishment continues its genocide on our people, and the shameful fact that the likes of Keir Starmer and Shabana Mahmood are actually going against what our lovely West Midlands Police is suggesting. West Midlands Police wanted to stop the fans attending here, not because of us, but because they're a bunch of hooligans, and they had very good intelligence to suggest that. So we are here. We're here for the people. Ahmed Yaqub's here, and we will do this every day, every match, continuously. This is not just something that we're doing today and tomorrow we'll forget.
We know the sentiment of the youth here. And if the far right turn up, which they are planning to do a counter-protest down there, we know the youth in this area, they're not going to just stand there while somebody attacks them. They will defend themselves, and they're not going to stand there while somebody attacks their property. They will defend their property. So it's a different sort of demographic to that of Amsterdam. So let's say that's why we're here. We want to keep it all peaceful.
So that's the view of those side, Martin, from the other side of the road. But we've seen just in the last hour or so just how tense the atmosphere and the situation is here. One lady was holding aloft a Jewish flag in front of those Palestine protesters, and the police had to seriously bunch up. We know there's obviously, as we just talked about there, 700 police officers here. They had to bunch up to make sure that the protesters couldn't get to her. They started chanting "Free Palestine, death to the IDF." Now, we know the police beforehand had said that they are used to policing these huge football matches and these huge crowds. Of course, we know that there is strain on this force, which is why they've had to be bringing other forces from across the country to ensure that they can police these safely and properly tonight. But those police had to get involved when that woman held that Jewish flag in front of those protesters and escort her away. It's clear that with, of course, this kind of protest and the protest on the other side, these people are making their voices heard, but it's certainly a tense atmosphere here tonight, Martin, at the Villa Park Stadium.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Thank you, Jack Carlson. Excellent reporting as ever. Please give my regards there to Josh Howie. Please stay safe there at Villa Park. Thank you, Jack Carlson. Let's get back to Westminster now. And I'm delighted to be joined in the studio by the chairman of Jewish Villains. That's the Aston Villa Jewish Supporters Club, Elliot Pollock. And also by my panel tonight, and that's GB News' senior political commentator Nigel Nelson and the former Conservative MP Jane Stevenson. Welcome to you all. Elliot Pollock, I'm going to start with you. I thought Josh Howie there was very pertinent when he said this doesn't feel like it's a protest at all about football. It's a protest against Israel. It's a protest against Jews. And he said this isn't the United Kingdom I recognise. What are your thoughts as an Aston Villa fan, seeing what's happening at your beloved Villa Park?
Yeah, it's very sad. Good evening, Martin. A lot of people were discussing whether to go tonight, and the overwhelming emotion was fear. People were scared to go take their kids. I don't think that was accurate. I think 700 police, dogs, horses, drones had that covered. I think the issue for a lot of Jewish supporters was sadness, as you say, to see a place they associate with largely happy memories, a safe place, to use the modern jargon, was going to be a backdrop to basically a carnival of hate and anti-Semitism, and that would scar the ground almost for them. So that was certainly forefront of my mind as to why I'm here, not there.
We saw there a couple of protagonists, I'm going to be polite with my language, external protagonists on the pro-Palestine side, and they were quite clear in their tone there. They said, we won't stop every match now, every event. We've heard they want the Israeli national team kicked out of international football. They want every Israeli team kicked out of all international tournaments. The Eurovision Song Contest, it's endless. Do you think that the police, the authorities have made a gross mistake by caving to the mob, because this won't end?
Yeah, it is endless, and I think the protests on a Saturday have also been endless. You have a problem that you have a group of people with almost endless amounts of time to go and protest about something, however distant they feel about it, who are happy to turn out in large numbers every single week as almost an outing, something to do. And you have a new cycle where Israel have traditionally competed in football, in Eurovision. Of course, they're in all these things in the UEFA competitions, because if they were in Asia, none of the teams would play them. So this is very much a second choice. They would much rather be playing teams geographically nearer, and which would be slightly easier for them to, for example, reach a World Cup. But because of discrimination, they're forced into Europe, and they're now saying, well, throw them out of Europe. Go where then? What's the answer here? This is completely ludicrous.
Could I ask you about the political element to this? The local parliamentarian, independent parliamentarian for Birmingham, Perry-Barr, the constituency where Villa Park sits, Ayub Khan, he started the petition to have this game struck off, backed by Jeremy Corbyn, of course, the independent MP now, who previously had been put before the European Convention of Human Rights on charges of racism, which he denied. Nevertheless, this clearly has a joined-up political element. And putting the football to one side, do you feel that that's an issue here? This is the beginning, not of a football-related movement, but of a political-related movement where Jews in Britain are starting to feel under threat, scared.
Yeah, I think if you're a local MP and you have the possibility of 2,000 tourists visiting your constituency, and Aston isn't a hotbed of tourism, this would be a good opportunity for the economy. People would come, they may come back, they'd spend money. You really have to have a problem with Israelis, or let's be honest, Jews, to say, no, I don't want these people coming. Anything but that they're coming. And if it is the exact opposite of what a constituency MP should be doing, and the fact that he was brazen about it and no one said, well, hang on a minute, is very troubling and would fit in with a lot of the British Jewish experience. Not all of it by any means, but quite a lot of it that friends and family are experiencing every day.
Elliot Pollock, you talked there about the relentless, over now 2 years of protests on the streets of Britain, a lot of it in London, also in Birmingham, Manchester, Glasgow, over in Ireland as well. We've now seen this political movement, and we're seeing the gathering of the Green Party, of Jeremy Corbyn's emerging Your Party. We've seen a surge in anti-Semitic hate crimes on British streets. Is Britain becoming a genuinely fearful place now for British Jews?
I think most Jews in their day-to-day lives, where they go to work, they come home, will not experience anti-Semitism and will reiterate what a wonderful and free country this is. I think in certain sectors, so if you're a student in university, you might need a guard with you. There's crazy things going on in universities that people aren't aware of. So it's very concentrated. So if you're in certain areas, certain professions, or certain universities, your life is defined by this. But for the vast majority of British Jews, there aren't day-to-day situations. I came in tonight with my kip up. I was not scared. There was no problem. So I think it's important to focus where the problem is rather than make it out that it's a more general problem. There's a problem within very specific areas, which is truly disastrous.
OK, Elliot, thank you very much. Let's bring my panel in now. Nigel Nelson and Jane Stevenson. Nigel, I'm going to turn to you first. Clearly, the Jewish community there are concerned about what's been going on. Is this really about football, or do you think it's more about something else?
Well, it's obviously about something else. I mean, I would rather see a situation where politics doesn't get tangled up with events which are non-political. And you mentioned the Eurovision Song Contest, that as well. Eurovision Song Contest, football, politics should be out of it. However, you've got to balance that with people's right to protest. So if people disagree with that particular view, I wish no protesters turned up at that match tonight. I wish the Israeli fans had been welcomed here. But if people choose to protest, we've got to allow that right to go ahead.
And it's worth pointing out, Jane Stevenson, that the position of the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, he wanted the fans to come in, and he thinks that the decision taken has been a mistake. So in defence of Sir Keir Starmer, he didn't want to see tonight's events happen, but they have. And isn't that the point, Jane Stevenson? There is a feeling here that the pro-Palestine mob, they won't stop. And every victory like this gives them more spring in their stride to carry on their movement.
Yeah, and we've seen over the past 2 years, we've seen protests by the cenotaph that were completely inappropriate, but the government has not stood up to them. We've seen Labour politicians. We saw that video of Angela Rayner going and begging for votes in her Muslim community. They have traditionally had the Muslim vote in Britain. Now there are some alternative parties, Jeremy Corbyn's party or this independent MP. I find it really sad that a multicultural city like Birmingham, a Jewish fan is not safe to turn up and watch a football match. Any British person should be safe to go and watch a sports match in our country, and that's clearly not the case. And it's terrifying to say Jewish people are being penned in to a guarded place to stand and make their voice heard tonight. Very sad.
On that political point, Jane Stevenson, we are seeing the emergence of independents like Ayub Khan. They stood on a pro-Gaza ticket. They got elected last time around. They're expected to morph into Jeremy Corbyn's Your Party. We're also seeing Zach Polanski's Green Party with a few, let's face it, questionable, more hardline Islamic candidates. Are you concerned that we might be seeing, as Nigel Farage has predicted, the emergence of a more sectarian, faith-based politics in the United Kingdom?
Absolutely, and because of the way communities tend to bunch together and because of our parliamentary system, I think we will see that sort of voting and we will see that sort of representation in Parliament. But I've knocked on doors for local elections and had a Muslim lady who was perfectly nice, but just say, I can't vote for any of the parties because of Gaza. And it's like, this is about your bins. This is about your local government services. And I think that's really sad. You know, this is our government in our country. And I think, yes, protest. If you feel very strongly about Gaza, of course you want to make your voice heard. But there are other ways to do that. And I think everybody needs to be engaged in our politics, our local and national government.
Nigel Nelson, do you think it's, I don't know, dog whistle or racist of people like me to like say, wow, we are seeing here an emerging Muslim political movement? It's like, well, what are you concerned about? People are allowed to form communities, they're allowed to vote. Or is this the antithesis of what we're expected to believe? Live pictures on your screen there of Villa Park. We can see the temperature seems to be rising somewhat. This is the pro-Palestine side. Are we seeing the emergence of something that people should feel maybe a bit concerned about?
I think people have a right to decide how they're going to vote. If they do it on a religious basis, that because they're Muslims or Christians or whatever, that's their choice. In America, it's very much on the lines of religion. So there are a whole variety of ways you can decide to vote. I think that, Jane mentions it's unfortunate that people are more concerned about Gaza than their local politics, but that's their right. If that is an issue that really concerns them, and they can vote for somebody who shares their views, they have the right to do so.
OK, we have to leave it there. Just to repeat, live pictures on your screen there from Villa Park as the protest continues to rage on the streets of Birmingham. Thanks to my guests. That's the chairman of the Jewish Villains, Aston Villa Jewish Supporters Club, Elliot Pollock, as well as my panel, of course, and that is Nigel Nelson and Jane Stevenson. Thank you very much.